What's going on, guys? It's Takeo White here for Team Card Fighters United, and today I'm going to be talking to you about another one of the decks from Butterfly the Moonlight, also in Granblue, just like Night Rose, and that is going to be the Seven Seas deck. And it is way more budget than the deck I just went over yesterday, and it's nowhere near as competitively viable, but it's definitely a lot of fun. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Basically, the whole point of the deck is using these markers right here called treasure markers. And unlike something like a force marker or Protect 2, they're not going to give anything to the rear guard it's attached to, any added bonuses. It's really just there for this card's skill. So let's go ahead and get into that. Obviously, you're going to be running 4 copies of Night Mist. And pretty much every 7 Seas card has the same first ability where whenever their attack hits, if it's on Vanguard or Rear Guard, you get to pick one of your circles without a treasure marker and add one to it. So basically the whole point is you just want to hit them as much as possible so you can build them up. The reason you build them up is because of Night Mist. So basically for however many treasure markers you have, he gets different abilities. So 1 or more, all of your regards with 7 Seas get to attack and intercept from the back row. So already just 1 treasure marker and you go from 3 attacks a turn in a Protect deck to 6. They're really small attacks normally, depending on what cards you're using, but that's still a lot of tiny pokes. And once you hit 3 or more, all of the 7 Seas units that are getting to attack from the back row are getting an extra 5, which once again, now you're not only getting 6 attacks in a Protect deck, you're getting 6 attacks in a Protect deck that have more power on them. And then last but not least, if you have all 6 of your markers, at the end of the battle that the Night Mist attacks, you get to restand every single one of your rear guards that have 7 Seas in the card name. So that moves you from 6 attacks in a Protect deck with some extra power to 11 attacks. So if you can get it off, it's definitely really good. And it's really helpful that every single 7 Seas unit has that ability, because it makes getting those markers way easier than if you just had like 1 or 2 to generate them. So basically, that's what all of them are going to do. Just like the last card, Night Spinel has the same ability of on hit, and you get a marker. This is pretty much the Columbard of the deck, where you're placing it, counterbusting 1, and calling one of your 7 Seas. It's specifically 7 Seas, unlike Columbard, but it also is milling you a couple cards to try to get you some better stuff. It's only a Counterblast and milling 2, so it's really not super expensive or anything, like Counterblast Soul Blast or something. And it's definitely helpful in the fact of you're getting to use a Columbard style skill without having to worry about the fact that Columbard doesn't have 7 Seas in the name. So definitely super helpful for what you're doing. The next card is the other grade 2 7 Seas unit. And this is your big attacker. It's obviously got the same skill to get the treasure marker, but then whenever there's a marker on it, not just treasure marker, but a marker, it's getting 15. So it's one of the things you're going to stick in the back by itself just so you can hit with bigger swings. Because on a treasure, even if you just have 1 treasure marker, if he's the one that's on it, he's getting that extra 15 from the back row. So that's a 24k swing. So definitely not bad. He's like a little tiny ghost ship that doesn't draw you any cards. After that, we're running 3 Greed Shade. Obviously, you know what 3 Greed Shade does. The whole point about why you're running it and everything is specifically so that you can try to grab your main grade 3 Night Mist, since you saw you only run 4 grade 3s to begin with. So it's really easy to help you grab pieces and maybe throw a couple of your 7 Seas in the drop zone. Because there's not a whole, you're not running Navigator or anything in here. I've seen people try to. I personally have not liked that build. It doesn't feel like it runs very well to me. But it's definitely, I would say, really important to have Greed Shade just to help with consistency. Grabbing any card you need out of your drop and throwing it in your hand, something like Night Spinel or one of the other cards we'll see later. And then next we have Columbard, just for consistency. You can call him Counterblast, grab anything you want from your deck. So if you don't have enough of your, say, your beat stick of Master Swordsman, you would use Columbard and go grab him. So definitely really helpful. He's also going to be a target for a card that we're going to go over in a minute. I believe now we are on grade 1s. The first grade 1 is another 7 Seas, so another way to generate those treasure markers. And whenever he's on a marker, once again, any marker. So it could even be a Protect 2 marker if you want to. I don't advise running Protect 2 with this deck. The Protect 1 markers are just really important in this meta. But pretty much it's just an extra intercept, because now you have a grade 1 that while it's on a marker is getting the intercept, so you can have it in the back row being able to boost, say if they hit a trigger on one of your tiny swings, so now one of your other swings can be bigger so it can actually hit. But it can also intercept from the back row, making your guard just a little bit stronger, so now it's a 10k guard that you don't have to use from your hand. It also is getting that boost from 7Cs. The last grade 1 7Cs we're running is going to be Nightcrow. What Nightcrow does is whenever he's in the drop zone and everything, you can Soul Blast one and kill one of your rear guards that's not him and call it a rear guard. So anytime you would use a Greed Shade or a Column Bar, you get their skill off to do whatever you want to, and then if you have a Nightcrow in the drop zone, you just get to get rid of them and take your 7Cs out, because you would much rather have your 7Cs cards on the board. The next card after that, you're definitely going to want to run, is Negerbone. Because unlike most Granblue decks, and by most I mean like looking back at Cocytus and now looking at Night Rose, you're not really getting any calls from your Vanguard. Like Night Rose would call an attack, and then Cocytus would build your board during the main phase. So this is one of the only ways you can really easily get a board. So you'll just throw him, to the bottom of your deck and drop something like a Nightcrow to your drop zone, so that you can go ahead and call something out. Probably something that you could start off combos with, like a Night Spinel, or just go ahead and grab your Master Swordsman. Something easy like that. And like I said, you're only running 4 grade 3s. So we have 2 Tommy in there to try to help with consistency. I was playing without him, and if you do decide to play without him, I would just run the 4 Negerbone. But there were a couple games where I was missing my grade 3s, and then after I put Tommy in, he did help a good bit with that. So hopefully that won't be an issue anymore, because just like some of the other cards, like Column Bard, you can call him. If you hit your grade 3, you put him to hand, throw a Nightcrow from your hand to the drop, and then the Nightcrow will kill the Tommy and come right back out. So that is really nice for helping build your board too. I believe now we're on to grade 0s, but instead of it just being triggers, we actually have a 4 of grade 0. That card is going to be Night Runner, and he's got the same skill as all the other ones. Wherever he hits, he's getting you a treasure marker, but his second skill is actually really good. It's whenever you bind it, you put 2 cards from the top of your deck into the drop zone, and then return a card with 7Cs in its card name to your hand. So you can grab something like Night Spinel, or if you want to rewrite and get another Protect marker the next turn, you can grab a Night Mist. So just pretty much, it's just a free card to turn anything you have on board into, he turns into any 7Cs that you have in your drop zone. Completely fumbled over my words there, but it'll be okay. In the budget version of this deck, because I know Column Bard and Greed Shade are both about 10 to 13 apiece, one of the options you have to run is something like Negerlazy, just because he can call that for free. But obviously the better alternative is something like Captain Night Mist, just because he's counterboss one and call. But now for the triggers. This deck has no draw power whatsoever, so I definitely encourage a lot of draws. I've played both the 12 draw variant and the 8 draw variant, and I feel like my luck wasn't too different with either of them. But for this build, the one that I've ended up deciding on is the 12 draw variant with your 4 draw PGs. Not 12 draw, I'm sorry. Your 8 draw variant. So yeah, so it's going to be 4 draw, PGs, 4 normal draws, 4 crits, and 4 heals. There's not really too much you have to think about in terms of what to do with the deck. One of the big things is if anyone is calling stuff in front of you early game to try to swing at you harder, immediately you're just going to want to start targeting it with your units, because they either A, sacrifice cards from their hand to guard a card on the board, so you're kind of damage denying, and then B, if they just go ahead and let it die, which most times they will, that's a treasure marker for you because they don't specify. So definitely with people who don't know what the deck does, this deck can easily take a win. No question, because no one's expecting a random Granblue deck to swing 11 times if you don't know what 7Cs do. Alright, so that's going to be it for the deck profile today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.